Just me watching me. All right. Hello there, friends. Alicia Dolan here at Creating in My Corner. I was having a little technical difficulties tonight, and I feel like I'm really orange as well. But I'm going to switch the camera over in just a minute, and we're going to get started on our project because we're a little bit late tonight getting here. So I'm going to turn the camera around and grab our supplies, and we'll see what we can come up with for tonight's card. So bear with me just a few more moments. Okay, I have set up my video tonight so that you can see my workspace, and hopefully you can hear me as well. I'm going to grab the stamp set that we're going to use tonight and some paper, and we'll go ahead and get started. I was not as prepared tonight as I usually am. We had kind of a busy day today, and I am just not all the way ready yet. But I really wanted to use this Wisteria Wishes photopolymer stamp set. And so that is what I'm planning on using. I am going to look up this stamp set in the catalog, and I think that we will case the stamp, the card, whatever card it is. Let's see, let's turn to page 92. That's where our stamp set is. And I do not have the dies yet that go with this stamp set, but let's try, and we'll case this card right here that says happiness grows within. So we need some cardstock. Let's see, a color in white. And let's see what I've got. See, here is some white. And here's my pack of in colors. These are the 2021 through 2023 in colors. I think that will do nicely. And let's try to copy kind of the image that we see in the catalog. So for our card base, I think I am going to use this evergreen. Let's use this green evening evergreen. I think that'll go pretty with the fresh freesia. So let's see how that turns out together. And let's see what we come up with. So let's make our card the basic, the standard A2 size. We're going to take our cardstock and cut it at 5.5 along the long side. And then we'll score it at 4.25. You're watching with me tonight. Thank you for hanging in there. I know it was a bit of a challenge. I was trying to post the video to Facebook from Zoom, and usually it goes right through. And tonight, for some reason, it told me I did not have permission. The first several times I tried to host it. And so I don't know. I'm not really sure why that happened, but it did. There are a lot of things that happen with technology that I don't always know the reasons for. Okay, so our card base is going to go this way. And I'm just going to sit my magazine off to the side here. And we need, they used a piece of basic white that was slanted this way, but I think I'd like to double layer that. So I'm going to use the fresh freesia first and then a piece of white. So we will, let me see what I have here in my little scrap white pile. It doesn't look like I have just the right size. So we'll take a piece of this basic white. And I am going to cut that. Let's see. What looks about right. Let's try 3.5. So we're going to cut that at 3.5. That one is going to go like this. And then we'll cut our fresh freesia so that it sits just slightly larger than that at 3 3/4. So we are, again, tonight kind of designing as we go. So then our piece going sideways is going to look like this. I'm going to get out my fresh freesia ink and my evening evergreen. It looks, well, we're just going to go with that and we're going to see how it goes. So I need one side of this to be cut at an angle. So what we'll do is I have a little pencil right here. And I'm going to, let's see, how can I make marks? Should I turn my paper over? I think maybe that might be best. But let's just mark just slightly outside our edges here. And then I'll know I have to cut a tiny bit in to get over that pencil mark. So then I'll line up my pencil marks here in my trimmer. And just cut right down those sides. And this might not be the most effective way to do this, but it is the best way that comes to mind right in this moment. All right, so here is our piece of white. That's gonna go just like that. It looks like I was off just a little bit. Let's see here if I can fix it. I mean, just a little bit more off that one side. Let's see. And I just cut the tiniest bit off of there. But that looks better to me. And I'm not going to glue that on yet. Let's stamp this first. Then we will glue it on. Okay, so I am going to stamp on my Stamparatus tonight. And tonight I'm using the Wisteria Wishes stamp set. So I'm going to set this underneath here. And first I want to use this little hanging branch. So I'm going to set that up here at the top. Let's see, where do we want it to be on that card? Maybe over here to the left of it. All right. Let's stamp that in some evening evergreen. And when I'm inking up my stamps, I always do a lot of tapping, but I don't press really hard. And I find that gives me the best chance at a good image. So then when we lay it down, we're going to press in the center. And it looks like I missed a spot, but since I'm using the Stamparatus, I can put it right back in the same spot. Kind of go over it a little bit again. There we go, and that looks better. It doesn't look like anyone is watching tonight, so I suppose you're all busy enjoying the beautiful weather. It's so nice outside. It's not too hot. It's a little bit overcast. And when I was outside a little bit earlier, I didn't notice any mosquitoes yet. So that's always when I like to be outside the best, when there are no bugs bugging me. Okay, and now I'm going to put that back. I think that's back where it was. It might have gone the other way. I'm not sure. And I'm going to get these right here, these with this Wisteria image here out next. So that's this one. I don't know how well you can see that on the camera. And I'm going to line that up where I want it to hang down. I'm going to pick it up carefully. I'm actually going to move my magnet over a little bit because it will hold my paper a little bit better if it's closer to the image that I'm stamping. And what I want to do, because I don't want my image to be really bright, I'm going to stamp off before I stamp on my cardstock. So I have over here some just little pieces of printer paper that I have stashed away. And I use little cut up pieces of printer paper all the time. Sometimes I write notes on them and I stick them in the cards so that if I'm sending the card to someone that I know might recycle it, I think it's kind of fun to recycle a card. But if I'm sending it to someone I know might recycle it, then I'm likely to put a little note inside instead of actually writing on the card. And that way they can put their own note inside and send it on to someone else. That way it can be a blessing for more than just the person you send it to the first time. All right, so now I've inked that up with fresh freesia ink. I'm going to stamp it down on my piece of paper. And then I'm going to pull the plate off and I'm going to huff on it a little bit, which just means I'm going to add some, I'm going to breathe on it. And what that does is it reactivates the ink a little bit so that you can stamp it a second time, but get a lighter image than you got the first time. And then, oh, I keep losing my cleaning chamois tonight. I keep putting it on the wrong side of me and I'm struggling. I had my first in-person card class last week, first one in a long time, and I had so much fun. So I have already planned the next in-person card class, and it's going to be in July. It'll be July, I can't remember now. It's either the 12th or no, it's the 14th. It's July 14th will be the next one. Okay, and now I've taken the other small wisteria image, this one right here, and I'm going to stamp that in the fresh freesia, but I'm going to use the first stamping instead of a stamp off this time. So I'm just laying that right on top. And I'm going to tap it and add my ink. And I'm going to stamp it down. Now, I'm not actually taking the ink off of here. I should, but I'm just going to be careful and hopefully not make too big a mess. And I'm going to ink it up again. And stamp it on the second one. And this time I am going to wipe it off because the ink is starting to get where it might get to me. Now this wisteria, I think, I'm not 100% sure if it's meant to be this way or not. But if you turned it around the other direction, I think that it would closely resemble a lupine. So I think you could have the option for both there. All right, so there is our stamped wisteria. let's see what we've got so far. I'm kind of designing as I go tonight. Didn't. So it's not a real structured stamping time like the class would be. Okay, so now this is kind of to give us an idea where we are so far. So our image would look like this. And let's see, what else? They added some little branches up there from the Wisteria die, but I don't think we need those. We can add our little sentiment right here. Okay, let's keep going. So what I want to do next is glue this piece to my fresh freesia. So I'm going to use my liquid glue in the back. And I'm going to do a thin line around the edges and then a squiggle down the middle. And then I can glue this right to here. Oh, I think that's good. Okay, and then I'm going to place it back in the trimmer and I'm going to trim it so that those edges are lined right up. Just like that. And then I'm going to turn it around. Get the other side. There we go. All right, so this is going to go on the front of our card like this. And we need some kind of little saying, I think, that'll go right down here. So let's choose. I've got a little piece of basic white right here. And the card that we were casing had happiness grows within. And so I kind of want to put to a friend who's all kinds of wonderful. That is the stamp I'm going to choose. That one is right here. This set has a lot of really nice sentiments. There's faith is about trusting, happiness grows within, to a friend who's all kinds of wonderful. Hang in there, even when you don't understand. So I really like all those sentiments. All right, and I'm gonna put it doesn't matter if it's real straight because I am gonna cut it out. So I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm gonna put it right here because I'm gonna fussy cut it in a minute. And I'm gonna stamp it in evening. Shall I do even evergreen or shall I do black? I think, well, let's try the evening evergreen first and see how it goes. Actually, I wanted to show you something real quick that you can use. All right, we're going to do some embossing real quick. I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. Okay, so this is Versamark ink pad. And when you stamp with this, it pretty much looks clear. So what we're going to do is we're going to add this Versamark ink to our stamp. Oh, and I forgot to put this back underneath. Let me do that. There we go. So we're going to add that Versamark ink. And then we're going to add a little bit of Evening Evergreen ink over the top. So we're just going to tap it on there gently a couple times, just like we normally would. And we're going to stamp that down. Now I didn't rub this with my my dryer sheet because I don't know where it is right now. I may have left it upstairs or it might have gotten thrown away. So I stamped with Versamark and then I stamped with a colored ink. Now over top of that, I'm going to put some Stampin' Emboss powder, and this is clear powder. And we're just going to sprinkle it over the top, making sure that we cover up all the places where there's some ink. So just like that, it's good and covered up, and we can tap it to kind of scoot it around and make sure it's on there. And then we can fold it up and tap it back in our bottle. And I'm going to flick it off to the side here. So you'll hear me flicking it a little bit, but when you flick this embossing powder, it can get everywhere. So I try really hard to keep it off of my space because while it doesn't ruin other things, it can leave little spots in your stamping if it gets on your stamps and you don't clean it off. It can be a little complicated. So now I have my saying here that is stamped and covered in embossing powder. Now remember, I did Versamark and then a color and then clear embossing powder. So next, I'm going to take my embossing gun and I will turn the sound off for just a minute so that I can turn this on without damaging your ear. Okay, I hope that you could see the magic when that turned from embossing powder to this shiny bit of wonderfulness. Okay, now you can use clear embossing powder. They actually have heat and stick powders, so you can put that on and then sprinkle glitter over the top. But I think it's a nice way where you can get an embossing, you can get a color without buying a lot of extra ink. So just stamp with your Versamark first and then stamp in the Evening Evergreen. It really is like magic. I really love it, but it does take some finessing. So, well, and even this, my Versamark pad is a little bit old and I think it needs to be re-inked. So some of my spots here are a little more flat and not quite as shiny as they should be. If you notice that's happening to you, then you may need to add more ink to your Versamark pad. And I knew I needed to do that, but I forgot before I logged on. I do love embossing though. And you can do this, you could do the same thing on vellum, you could do it on your window sheets. I haven't tried it on the linen paper, but I would assume you could do that. So now we're going to fussy cut this little sentiment out. Well, maybe I should have gone in a little bit there. There we go. It gives it a little more shape. I fussy cut a lot more before I got the die cutting machine. Now I tend to just cut things in a circle or an oval or whatever shape that the machine cuts. But sometimes I still like to cut around it to get a little different shape than what I would normally have. And I'm actually going to layer that up. So I am going to, let's see, should it be on the green? Nope, maybe it should be on purple. Fresh freesia. So I'm going to turn my little sentiment over. I know they do have a refill, and I even have the refill. I just forgot that I was supposed to put it on there. And I'm not sure where I put it. It's on my shelf, I know, with my other refills. So I'm going to get it out when we are done with this, and I'm going to refill my Versamark. And it looks like mine too. See there, it's gotten a little embossing powder around the edges and even in the middle. So I don't know if I can fix that or not, but I'm going to try. Kim, my ankle is much, much better. I haven't appreciated it, but I've been resting a lot. Okay, so now I'm going to glue this little sentiment down. And then I'm going to fussy cut one more time. I feel like I probably shouldn't, like I'm making this a little too complicated, but I do like to complicate things. All right, so I'm just going to cut around here. And remember when you're fussy cutting that it's always better if you turn your paper than if you turn your scissors. And I realize that I probably am not 100% doing that, but I am trying. So it's a learning process. We're all learning all the time, right? And when we learn something new, it takes a while to get in the habit. Oop, and then I got a little too scissor happy there and I got a little bit close, but it's going to be fine. All right, so there's our first layer. Here's our little sentiment. And we need, I think we need something more. Let me see. Maybe we need some ribbon, right? Okay, it just had a little bit of a ribbon avalanche behind me, but it's going to be fine. So I think, you know what? I think that this ribbon will go really well. I think I'm going to tie it on this side, and I'll put this here and then sprinkle a few little gems around. I think that's what my plan is going to be. Twine would be good. Twins, not so much. I mean, I'm sure they are a blessing to those who have them, but at this point, I am not prepared for that. Okay, so we're gonna, let's see. I know I have a process for this and I can't remember it right now. Why is that? Okay, we're gonna take our left ribbon. We're gonna cross it. We're gonna cross the right over top and move it to the other side. I'm gonna pull that left one through. I'm gonna pull up a bow on the left. And let's see, which way is it gonna go best? I'm gonna wrap the ribbon around the back and see how this goes. Gonna push it through. I feel like I never know when I'm tying a ribbon. I have tried so many different ribbon methods. I probably need to write down whichever one works for me. There was a while there where I was tying a lot of ribbons and I had it kind of figured out, but that time has gone, evidently, because now I'm struggling with the ribbons again. Okay, so here's our ribbon. Let's see, I kind of wish that the ribbon went this way. I wonder if I can make it do that. I'm going to try again. All right, so let's see. I'm going to pull up the ribbon on the left, and this time I'm going to go around the front of the ribbon. I'm going to see what kind of difference that makes. If I can get it to come through. All right, let's see. Okay, so I like where that is sitting a little bit better this time, but I couldn't tell you exactly what I did to make it different, except I came around the front side of my original bow instead of the back side. And we'll trim that off. Okay, and that was glittered organdy ribbon. I really like this ribbon because I feel like I can put it on a lot of things, and those little flecks of glitter pick up the colors of almost whatever you're working on. They kind of reflect it a little bit. All right, so now we are going to take and we're going to glue this down. I'm going to use my liquid glue again. And I did not glue down that ribbon because it's sitting on there nicely. But if it's not behaving the way that you want it to, you could always put a glue dot on and kind of force it to move around to where you want it to be. So we're going to put a thin line of glue all around the edge. And then a squiggle in the middle. And remember, when you're working with this liquid glue, you don't want to push the tip of that glue into the paper because that'll give it a mark like you're dry embossing it. And so we want our paper to be as mark-free as possible. And then we can glue this on here. Just like that. And we'll take our little sentiment and we'll put it up on a dimensional. And I have some little edges over here that I've cut out. So we can put 2 of those on there. These are just the edges because when I'm done with my glued up my dimensionals in the middle, I trim all my edges so that I can use those too. You don't want to waste your dimensionals at all. So then we can peel off the backs. And I'm going to stick that right here to a friend who's all kinds of wonderful. And then we can add some little sparkles to it. Let's use these. Well, let's see. Let me see what I have. I think these opal rounds, because they pick up a little bit of that green and the fresh freesia as well. So I have my little take your pick tool. And these are the opal rounds. And so we'll just pick up a couple of these. I'm going to use some of the bigger ones, I think. Hold on. I need to use my little paddle to get them moving. There we go. And then I can use the sticky end here. Pick up the ones I scooted. Well, hopefully I can. There they go. And we'll just put those around. Well, that one didn't want to cooperate. And one more. I do usually try to do them in odd numbers, but you can do whatever you want to do with your embellishments. And then let's grab 2 little ones too, just because we want to. Whoops. You know what? It's kind of cute up there. Let's leave that one up there. It wasn't where I intended for it to go, but it's okay. And let's see. I'll put one more over. I feel like, I don't know where this last one should go. It might be too close. Maybe down here. That's where I'll put it for now. Sometimes I put them all in a line and sometimes I sprinkle them around. So there is tonight's card, and I have to apologize a little bit because I have not got the video up from last week yet. And I don't think I sent out the measurements either, but I will do that this week along with this card. Will be coming in your email. So thank you for joining me for Stampin' Sunday. I'm always so glad to have you here in my creating corner. I will be back again next week with another video. Have a great week and happy stamping.